Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. I've been doing a series where I've been looking at popular and powerful unique items within Path of Exile. Today I wanted to continue that by looking at the Hands of the High Templar. As you can probably guess from where this is being filmed, this is a Cirrus drop. So this drops from Cirrus, Awakener of the Worlds, and I don't believe there's a minimum awakening level to get it. It's one of the easier items to get from Cirrus. It does drop quite a lot. In my experience, the most common drop is the helmet, and the second most common drop is the Hands of the High Templar. Then you've got a bunch of other items like Thread of Hope that are a little bit rarer, and then stuff that's much rarer like the Misinformation Watchstone and the unique sword, the Saviour. So, Hands of the High Templar can be modified while corrupted and can have up to 5 implicit modifiers. However, it can only have up to 5 implicit modifiers while it still has this modifier. That's the second line of text on it. What that means is basically you can keep varling these, and as long as you keep getting lucky, and it keeps adding new Val implicits, you will keep getting more and more of them until you hit 5, which is the limit. So, your probability of getting multiple Val implicits on this, it is 50% that you get 1 Val implicit before you ruin the item. It's 25% that you will get 2 Val implicits before you ruin the item, 12.5% you'll get 3, 6.25% that you'll get 4, and 3 1/8%, so 1 in 32, that you will get 5 Val implicits before ruining the item. This is why it's one of the best designs for an item in Path of Exile. Basically, 31 out of 32 of these end up getting destroyed. But the ones that survive that process end up incredibly good. And the next thing that needs to be pointed out with Hands of the High Templar is that normally if you're going to be varling an item, before you varl it, you kind of need to get the quality on it, and you need to get the gem sockets, or you often need to get the gem sockets right first. That's actually not important here. That said, I do recommend that before you apply any Varlobs to this, you do get it to 4 sockets. So I'll just quickly do that here, which should use only a couple of Jeweler's Orbs unless I get really unlucky. And the rationale for doing that is that one of the outcomes that's less uber that you can get from a Varlob is that one or more of the sockets get bleached white. And you'd kind of like that to happen on sockets that are, on sockets that are present, rather than on sockets that aren't currently on the item. As for divining it, you'll see that this is a terrible series of rolls. That 151 is from 150 to 200, that 7 is from 7 to 12, and that 25 is dead smack bang in the middle of the Fire and Lightning Resistances mod. So this has got absolutely terrible rolls on it. However, we're not going to waste any Divine Orbs on this unless we end up hitting a monster. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll just jump back to town, obviously be the Karui Shores because we've now killed Cirrus. And when we're there, we're going to grab some Varlobs and just see what happens with this item. So, firstly, we're going to Varl it, and the first time we did it, we destroyed the item. That's fine, that's going to happen most of the time. But the reason that these gloves are so good, or at least were so good before this happened, is the Varl implicits available on gloves are incredible. You can get a Frenzy Charge, you can get all sorts of Curse on Hit effects, you can get plus the level of Socketed Gems, you can get base attack crit, you can get base spell crit. And even if you end up with a combination that you can't personally use on your build, chances are there is a build out there that is looking for that exact setup. So you might, for instance, wind up with Despair on hit in conjunction with attack crits. You might be thinking, I'm not interested in attack crit, but I am interested in Despair on hit because I'm playing Forbidden Rite totems. You might think, this isn't the best setup possible for me. But someone else is playing a poison attack build and that is scaling critical strikes might think that that is exactly what they wanted. And so that's why these items are so good. Ultimately, these are mostly a trade league item. You can definitely use them in solo self-found if you get them and you don't end up just varling them into oblivion the first time that you varl them like I did. But in general, they're much better in a trade environment where you can make a monster, and then if it's a monster that's perfect for your build, you can use it. But if it's a monster that's good for someone else's build, then you can trade it to them and possibly use some of the currency they pay you to get something that's perfect for you. Ultimately, though, I think it's one of my favorite designs of an item in the entire game, and it's also something that's really good because it provides you with a meaningful reward every time you fight Cirrus, but it's not actually an item that is going to get equipped every time you run him. And that's something that just makes it a really interesting item overall. The things that do need to be said, though, once you've got a monster, assuming that you get there, at that point, once you've got 5 implicits, or maybe you hit 3 or 4 that are so good that you decide, I'm not going any further with this, there's a couple of things you can do on these that are really worthwhile. There is a Beastcraft. that will turn an item to 30 quality and corrupt it. You can do this on your Hands of the High Templar once you're happy with all the mods on it. Secondly, if you didn't already 4-link the item, you can just go to the crafting bench. Oh, sorry, you can either go to the crafting bench or you can just apply fusing orbs to it. And lastly, you can apply divine orbs, even though the item is corrupted. And again, that's because of that line. You may modify this item even when it's corrupted. So that's all I got on this one. Definitely an item that you should be probably at least considering using on most builds. It's being used by 9% of characters that are level 96 and up in the Ultimatum League, in the Expedition League, and by 4% of players in the 85 to 95 bracket as well. So it's very widely used, and that's just because it's really solid. Lastly, just getting 30% resist and 12% to 2 resist, and 12% life on it, it's already not terrible, just as a base item, even before you get to any amazing Vaal implicits on it. So it is just a really solid item all in all. That's all I got. May your Vaal Orbs have interesting results, and may they treat you a little bit better than the one that I used in this video did.